Welcome to the $100 Million Scaling Roadmap. If you're clicking here and this is the first video from the personalized plan that we sent you, which would be in your email, and if you're watching it from that, then you already have it. And if you don't have it, it's about 20 or so pages of the breakdown of exactly what you need to do to scale at your particular level, videos and text that's associated with that. It's our gift to you. And if you don't have that, you click below this video and you can go insert your information. Then we will have our 1,000 dwarves in the background process it and then send it out to you so that you have an exact plan for your business right now.
That being said, we are at the first stage. Okay, so the first stage of scaling is just you. And so we call this Improvise. Okay, at the stage of Improvise, your head count is 1 because it is just you, right? What is your role? Your role is really to be a researcher. You're just trying to figure out what's going to work. Often in this stage, people lack clarity, and the way to gain clarity so that you can know what to do next is by researching, right? Now, what does your leadership structure look like? Just you. So notice the theme here. It's just you, it's one person, and your role is to figure it the heck out, right? The number of companies that are here, not really any, because you're not a company yet. You are a one person just trying to figure out what the heck to do next.
All right, so I'm gonna kick it off with products. So remember, we have the constraint and then what is needed to graduate. And so at the product level, we are here. Remember, this is the good services and results that you deliver in the business. At this level, the constraint is you have nothing to sell. All right, so this is the big problem. And so to graduate, you have to give something away for free. Now, you don't have to. This is our strong recommendation. This is what we've done with every company we've had, is that we give away free stuff. And there's a lot of strategic reasons for that, all right? So this is what this really looks like. So big picture, we're looking at product categories. So, okay, are we going to give away our free thing as software? We're gonna give away our free thing as media. So that'd be like books, content, information, et cetera. Is it gonna be some service? We're gonna give our time away for free. So either something we know how to do that other people don't know how to do, or just something that other people know how to do, but they don't want to do. So if I know how to code websites and someone that doesn't know how to do that, then that would be like a knowledge-based service. Or if it was if I knew how to mow lawns and other people knew as well, but they just don't want to do it, then that would be like a time-based service. And then finally, just have stuff, physical products, things that people can actually hold in their hands. It's like, okay, what's the thing that we're gonna be giving away for free? What's the mechanism? Within that, we usually have an objective, especially if you're trying to sell some sort of software or service, sometimes even media, is that with your free thing, you either want to reveal a problem that then opens up the loop so that you can sell other stuff in the future. It's a free trial, so they taste the solution, but they don't get it unless they keep paying. Or you have a one-step and a multi-step process. And so the reveal problem would be like an assessment. So if you go to a chiropractor and he says, hey, I'm gonna do this assessment on your back and look, your posture's messed up. And now that sets up the stage for me selling, longer services. Free trial is what's something that someone's gonna need on a consistent basis. Let's say I do some sort of speed test on your website and I can show that I can decrease the page load time, which increases conversions. And I say, great, I'll give you 7 days of that. And you can see the increase. It's like, okay, well, if you wanna keep that increase, you gotta keep paying for it. And then the free step of a multi-step process would be something like, at the most basic level, if I have a garage, sealant business, I might say, hey, there's 3 coats that we need to put on the garage. I'll put the first one on. This one just protects from sun. Okay, but you still need to protect from termites. You still need to protect from wind. You still need to make sure the color is protected. And so you say, okay, well, we got this one thing, but there's still these other things that you want to have to make this whole thing work. Now, beyond that, I just like having these as my little back and napkin, right? We want the services, products, access, risk, money, media, data, software. These are all the types of things that people sell. And so BDC services, if you're just getting started, I just like to remember that these are things that people hate doing for money. So B2C, consumers, is like you do things that everyone hates. You clean, you cook, you do laundry, you do lawn care outside, you fix stuff on the house, like things that most people know how to do, they just don't want to do. B2B services tend to be things that businesses aren't as good at as you. And so the functions that we actually went over, all the categories that we're talking about, you basically function as a fractional expert for that particular thing. So you might be think about it as like a consultant or a done-for-you person who helps with product, or a consultant or a done-for-you person who helps with IT, or a consultant or done-for-you person who helps with marketing. And basically across all the functions, B2B is just doing a portion of the business for somebody else because you're better at it for them, or you can do it faster than them.
Or creating a software that does both.
Yes. And so I like to think, especially from starting out, what's the unscalable value that I can provide somebody? Like, I don't need to worry about scale because we currently have no customers and we have no employees, right? We just need to provide something really valuable to them. So I think, what's one-on-one time, one-on-one work that I can front to somebody at my own cost because I might not be that good yet, and just get feedback from the marketplace. And so our objective at this point is really to learn more than it is to earn. And I think a lot of people mess this up is they want to immediately start selling, but they have no expertise, they have no proof. And I can promise you long-term for your reputation, and you talk to the best founders in the world, you just want to learn more about your customers, learn all the pains they have so that you can create and innovate and iterate the product to make it a little bit better. We talk about this in more depth around in our Lead Matters chapter inside of the Leads training, which is also on the site. The Offers book helps you make offers, and the Lead Matters chapter within $100 million leads covers this in a lot of depth if you're like, what do I give away for free? All right, so this is the constraint that we had was they had nothing to sell. To graduate, you make something that you give away for free, and then we move on to marketing.
So the next function that we have is marketing, right? And so that is how you tell people about your stuff, right? First, you had nothing to sell. You made something that you can give away. Now you need to tell people that you made something to give away, right? And so at this level, nobody knows about your stuff. You have made it in the dark, in the corner, with nobody watching, right? And so to graduate, you just need to tell them about your stuff, right? And it's free, so that makes it easy, right? So let's tell people about the free stuff we have. Now, there's a few different ways that we can do that. This is something that we call the core four. Okay, so this is the way that we make people aware of the product that we have. At this point, that product is free, right? And so there are 4 ways that we can do that. We have warm outreach, we have cold outreach, we have post free content online, and we have run paid ads.
And those are the only 4 ways that you can let other people know about your stuff. And so if you're starting out, then you probably want the cheapest way to do that and fastest, which is going to be warm outreach. Sure, like you could post content which is free. It just tends to take a lot longer in order to get things going. Whereas reaching out to people who already know you is a much faster way to get started for any kind of product or service, to at least just get people to try it.
And so warm outreach might look like you reach out via email. You reach out via calling people. You reach out via texting people. You reach out on social media. I would say the most popular one that we see right now is that people reach out to people that they know and that follow them on social media, right? And so whatever platform that you have the most presence on, that's typically the platform people start with, and they start reaching out to let people know about their stuff.
And when we say platform that you have the most people on, to be clear, you're using all the contacts you've ever gained throughout your entire life. So think about every person you've ever emailed, every contact in your phone, every person who follows you. So even if you have like 200 people who follow you on Instagram or 100 people who follow you on Facebook, it's 100 leads. It's still people who know who you are, and these have very high affinity. It's very different than getting 100 cold leads. Like 100 cold leads is not going to get you very far, but 100 people who know who you are and potentially like you a lot can absolutely jumpstart a business.
And to give you guys complete clarity on this, both me and Alex, when we each started our own like one-person businesses, mine was personal training, yours was actually
online personal training.
Online personal training. We both did exactly that. You know, at the time for me, I posted on Facebook. I made people aware that I was doing training for free, and because of that, I built an entire business off of it. I think you did actually the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are the same person. So we both did the same thing, and it worked. It's just a matter of what platform that you're on right now that you have the most amount of followers. Again, it could be 100 people.
And so if you have no money, you should have no shame. So knock, call, email, text, DM, ask. Life-changing doors do not open themselves.
The biggest thing at this phase that we see with people is that they don't want to do the warm outreach. They don't want to do that work because they think, oh gosh, well, I heard that I should be posting content. And they actually almost use that as an excuse not to do the warm outreach. But it's actually because you're scared. It's actually because you're embarrassed. It's actually because you don't want to do the work because you don't want to be rejected. And here's the thing, you have to be willing to be rejected at this point. And so fearing what others think, fearing what your grandma or your mother is going to say when you post something to let people know about the thing you made for free, that's what stops most people at this phase, is they're too afraid to market the thing that they made because they're fearful of the judgment of others. And what I will tell you is you can either remain fearful of the judgment of others, or you could be fearful of never having a business. And so you have to pick which one you're going to stick with. And we'd say in order to graduate past this phase, you have to let go of that fear of judgment and the fear of shame to do these things so that you can build a business.
And it's also the reason that we recommend starting with something for free. Because a lot of people have so much fear around like, oh, what if I ask for money? It's like you're literally just giving away help. That's all you're doing right now. You're giving away help for nothing. So there should be no fear around you reaching out to people. But that at least takes you one step closer to be able to ask for money in the future.
So great. You graduated marketing, right? You told people about the free stuff you had. So now we'll move to sales.
So sales, as a reminder, how you get people to give you money for that stuff. All right, so mind you, now at this point, we're giving away free stuff. So The issue that you have now is you just don't know how to sell. You don't have the skill set. And so to graduate, all we have to do is to get them to try it for free. Like that's the sales, getting them to try it, getting them to use it. All right, and so this is what that looks like. So you ask them what their problems are, and then you offer to solve those problems in exchange for one, telling you what you could do better in the future. And if you're good, leaving a review or sending a friend. So I think about it in terms of review, like the R's. So it's like, I want a review, I want a referral, I want to retain this person ideally from the free into later they'll pay me. And then I want them to resell something even more expensive, right? I want them to ascend into a higher level. So those are the R's that I think through in terms of what I would want from somebody long-term. And so the objective of this in the short term is that we want to figure out the perceived hidden costs. All right, and so this is the inverse of the value equation that I talk about in the offers book. But I want to see what are the things that are effortful. Because if someone doesn't want to try it, or they say they'll try it, but then they don't follow through with it, then it means there's some cost associated with it, right? And so is it something that I had them start doing that they didn't want to do? Is this something that I had them to stop do that they wanted to keep doing? So if they want to sleep in on Saturdays to go work out in the park with me, they have to stop something they like? Is it risk they have to take on if I'm B2B and I say, hey, I'll run your ads for free, but you got to spend $2,000 a month on ads? Well, the business owner is still risking money and then also time. So from the effort perspective, like now I've got to hop on a call with some kid who's running my ads for me. That's something that I don't want to do that I now have to do. And then finally, the delay between when you say you're going to help someone and when they actually get the result that you promised them. And so all of these things, if you think about it hypothetically, these are all costs that are non-monetary. And so we want to figure these things out because you'll often find out that the biggest costs associated with your products are not the money. And so if you can actually eliminate all the other costs of your product, you can almost charge an infinite amount. And I'll give you a hypothetical example. So let's say I said, hey, if you click this button, you'll immediately get a six-pack. Holy cow. Like if you just click the button and then you just pulled up your shirt and you had a six-pack, the amount of people who'd be willing to buy that would be an exorbitant amount of people, right? And the amount we'd be able to charge for that would be ungodly if we were the only people who know how to do that. And so the thing is that other solutions promise a six-pack. It just takes a year. You might get hurt from training. You have to give up your early mornings. You have to give up your drinking. You have to give up your cheat foods. And then you have to start working out, being sore, doing all these other things. So it's like the promise is still the same. And so one of the easiest ways to increase value is just take away everything that sucks.
You want to think about it like, how do I make it as easy as possible for this person to get value from my product or service?
And this is it in the beginning. And so when you're looking to this kind of transition, because obviously we haven't even asked for money at this point because we're trying to get them to try it. And so we're just offering to exchange for these things. So instead of money, we're getting for the 4 R's, the reviews, the referrals, the retention, and then the resell. Like maybe they'll stay later or they'll buy something else later. And for every reason they don't want to do that for us, we want to find out why. And if you're not sure what business to start or where to begin, watch this. This is a Cybertruck, and this is $100,000. And someone watching this ad right now is going to one of these two in the next 30 days. But listen, this is what last month's winners did, and here they are in person with me. Nicholas got to $50,000 last month. Hayden, $38,000. Thomas, $35,000. Dion, $31,000. Patrice, $29,000. Jasper, $35,000. Eddie, $36,000. Elmer, $28,000. Ruben, $27,000. Evelyn, $81,000. But listen, these are all insane outcomes. But what is the average paid community owner make? $1,360 per month. You might be like, well, shoot, but what if I don't make it? What if it doesn't work for me? Well, 1 out of 2 people, 54.1% people who start a paid community school make their first dollar online. And the reason we have such a high success rate is because we have a blueprint of what every single one of these people did, step by step of exactly what you have to do. And I hop on a call every single week. We have a couple hundred people on the call, so it's still small. And I answer questions every week to help people actually win. And the best part of all is you can start absolutely free. And so if that sounds interesting, click the link, make money, have fun, join the community, and save the world.
Great, so now that we've covered sales, we go into customer service. Okay, so this is how you get customers to refer, retain, review, and resell. The 4 R's that Alex was just speaking of, right? And so what's the constraint at this level is that you don't have customers to service. Big surprise, right? You're like, where the heck are my customers? I don't have any. Okay, so in order to graduate, you want to service the free customers you have. Okay, so what does that mean, right? This means being available all the time, being fast in how you respond. It means, cleaning the toilet if you have to. Like there's no job too small. It means not holding resentment for the fact that you're going to work your freaking butt off for nothing. That is just the reality of it, right? And then you want to act as if they are paying you. Because here's the thing. They are paying you with their time. They're giving you their time. They're either giving you a review. They're going to possibly be retained when you move to a paid service. Like, this is your time to shine. You know, a lot of the times it's the things that we do when nobody's watching. It's the things that we do in exchange for very little that set the precedent for how successful our business is going to be later on. And so remember this, right now, you are getting the better end of the deal. Because the reality is that there's probably a better product or service out there that has better customer service. So the only competitive advantage you have at this point in your business is just ruthless execution. Like, as fast as possible, as much as possible. There is no scope of customer service at this point. You're gonna do whatever the F it takes to win and to keep this person and to hopefully convert them into being a paid customer later. The issue at this point is that a lot of people think, oh, well, that's not scalable. I want you to just remove, even though this is a scaling roadmap, remove the word scale from your mind right now. Because right now, you need to figure out what works. To give you an example of this, every time that we have started a new business, I will get in at the ground of customer service, both myself and Alex, to understand what's gonna work. Basically, you've got to throw the kitchen sink at your customers to see what they actually value from what you threw at them. And so that's what you're doing at this point in time, not to mention building your reputation. Because if you blow people's minds just with good service, there's a very likely chance that they're gonna tell other people about it. And to give you something very interesting, McKinsey did a study on why customers leave. And more customers leave due to bad customer service than due to the product or the price. And so somebody could have a better product that costs less money, but if they have bad customer service, you could still keep the customer or win the customer over.
I mean, like in a real world example, T-Mobile exists solely because they have a superior customer service experience. They have worse coverage, they have lower speeds, objectively just a worse service. But they still continue to gain market share. They did for a very long time, just because they beat Verizon and AT&T on the fact that their customer service didn't suck.
And so that is customer service. It is doing whatever the F you have to do to get value to these customers. So we went from having no customers to service to servicing our free customers.
All right, everyone's sexiest topic that they want to know at the beginning, at ground zero, when you have no employees and only free customers maybe, is IT. And so to be clear, IT is how you gather, store, analyze, and display information. Because as you gather people, you're gonna get their phone numbers, you're gonna get their emails, you're gonna have conversations with them, you're gonna have sold them a product, they're gonna give you feedback on the product. All this stuff is information, and if you have no way to gather, store, analyze it, and display it, it's gonna be tough. All right, and so here's the constraint, is that you currently, in the very beginning, remember this is level 0, all right, is that you have no hardware, okay? And so to graduate, save up and buy your hardware. Some of you, if you're watching this right now, are watching it in Pakistan on a public computer. That's fine, but like where you'd like to be is where you can save up and you can buy some hardware. All right, now if you have hardware and you're at home or you're on your phone right now, then you can already have graduated this level. I just want to be very clear. Like Layla and I said, like some of these you might already be 2-3 steps ahead, which is great. But we wanted to have a true 0 all the way up so that no one will be left behind. All right, so here's what that looks like. So your tech only has to do 2 things. All right, this is the output of the technology. Number 1 is that it has to help you communicate with people, because how are you going to advertise? How are you going to sell? You got to talk to people because they have money and you don't, right? And then you have to deliver your stuff. So whatever the thing is that you have to be able to deliver it. So if it's a physical product, then you have to have whatever hardware is required to deliver it. If you have a service and you mow lawns, then you need to have a lawnmower, right? If you're a makeup girl, then you need the makeup kit with the brushes and the paint and all the other stuff they do, right? And if you're a coder, then you're just going to need a computer and an internet connection and your keyboard in order for you to work, and maybe a comfortable chair if you want to do that because you're sitting down for 10 hours a day. All right, point being, the 2 things that you want with the hardware is a way to communicate with people and a way to deliver your stuff. All right, so with that being said, now you had no tech, and now you graduate by getting a computer, an internet, microphone, phone, and email. And so we move on to recruiting.
So recruiting, this is how you find and hire people to work for your company. So at this level, you actually don't know how to work. Okay, and so in order to graduate, you recruit yourself to work, okay? And so what that means, right? This means working early mornings, working late nights, learning how to put in the work, because a lot of times you can beat 99% of people out there by simply out executing at this point in time. And at this point in time, a lot of people are thinking like, who do I need to hire? Who do I need to outsource? Okay, get this. We had a lot of success with our first business. We learned how to build a business to $100 million, and then we sold that business, and then we started over. And when we started over, we had no employees. And so what happened in the beginning is Alex and I didn't go say, oh, let's go hire 17 people before we can do anything in the business. I got right down in there and I was like, guess I'm IT, guess I'm customer service, guess I'm HR right now. And so got right in there and said, cool, I have to out execute right now to build this from the ground up. And so what I want to explain to you guys is like, nobody is too good for this phase. You're never too good to recruit yourself to be the hardest worker in the room. And it doesn't matter if you've done this before, if you've had a 6-figure job, or if you've never had a job. The point is that at this point in time, most people don't actually have work capacity. They don't understand what it means to work hard. And I think that is often what limits people, is they say, well, gosh, I'm waking up, I have my coffee, I do this thing, I start at 10 and then I'm going until dinner, I'm going until 5. Listen, the reality of this is that to get this off of the ground floor, you might have to wake up at 5 a.m. and work until 11 or 12. And that might be the sacrifice you need to make for 6 to 12 months.
They're going to say years.
Yeah, or you could be like us and just do it forever, right? But the point is that a lot of times the reason people can't break past this level in general is because they cannot recruit themselves to build the type of work capacity that is required to get to the next level.
I can't believe you just quoted me so much when you made this slide. It's very kind of you. And so I will read the quotes that Layla decided to select of me, which is, you can beat 99% of people by preparing the night before, showing up early, leaving only when the job is done right, remembering people's names, following up, and improving one thing at a time. So it's not about being fancy. Doing the basics every time is what makes you advance. That's what allows you to graduate. And so if you're willing to work exceptionally hard, get rejected, and live below your means for 3 years, you can beat just about everyone. And you can beat 99% of people by continuing to work without needing immediate reward. And so most of this phase is that you have to be investing right now. You're putting a lot of time and you're putting a lot of money in. You're not seeing anything out because really you're the asset that you're investing in right now. You need to get better in order to then have that rub off on the business so the business can get better and grow.
And just to give you guys perspective on this, when we were building our first business, we slept out of extended stays. We were waking up at 4 a.m. every day. We were working until 11 p.m. every day. And I remember every night tossing and turning, waking up in the middle of the night, thinking about my business. And so it is tough. It is stressful. It is hard. And it requires a lot of long hours. And you don't get respite from that stress until stuff starts to work. And that's the reality of it. And you can't skip that part.
More quotes for me? Fine. Find what works. Do more of what works. Find the thing preventing you from doing more of what works. Solve it. Do more of what works again. Repeat. And you can get good enough at almost anything with 20 hours of focused effort. The problem is that most people spend a decade delaying the first hour. And that last one I think is super, super important because a lot of the skills that we're going to be going over are things that you can learn in about 20 hours. And you're like, 20 hours? Like, yeah, it's half a week. That's if you work just like in the mornings. If you work 2 full days, 10-hour days, you can learn in a couple days. But most people just like put it off for years. So just be willing to confront, be willing to face the fact that you suck. And that's okay, and you're in the exact same position as every other person who started at zero.
And the reality is that you want to remember is that you are in the position you're in because you've been in your head. You need to get out of your head and into your hands and to start doing things in order to see if something even works. If you really think about it, you will learn more from 10 hours of testing to see if something works than you would from 10 years of reading about something to see if it will work. And so with that is recruiting. That is how you find and hire people to work for your company. And in the beginning, that means you recruit yourself.
Thank you, Layla. Now we're going to be talking about HR, which is my favorite function, which is how I define it, how you decrease the likelihood employees or regulators sue you. That is the output of HR. People may reject me on this, and those people would be wrong. And so at this point, the constraint of your HR is that your personal assets and credit are unprotected. And so here's the lawyer holding you up for your money, and you're like, oh no, that's me. I'm losing everything. And so to graduate, we create a business entity to separate your personal assets from business assets. We have to put this wall that blocks your stuff from people who might otherwise try and take it. And so this is what it looks like in practicality. So in the US at least, it's an LLC or an S Corp for most businesses, unless you have investors, in which case this video probably isn't for you anyways. You probably have some sort of C Corp structure. All right, and so just go to an attorney or use an online tool like LegalZoom, and you can set it up your own. It costs you a couple $100. That's it. That's all we have to do at this level. Very, very simple. If you're level 0, just get an LLC so that your personal assets are not tied up with the business. That's what we were at. This is what we did. And now we move on to finance.
So at this point in time, right, how we define finance is how you report and manage your money, okay? So the constraint at this level is that your personal money is your business money, right? In fact, you might not even know at this level, there's a difference between the two. Yes, in the future there will be, right? And so to graduate this level, what you want to do is get a business bank account set up. Put money in it, write off startup expenses to save on taxes. Okay, so what you want to do is go to a bank. It could be a local bank, it could be a commercial bank, whatever you're more comfortable with. You want to put money in it, whatever you need to do to start it, or whatever amount of money you can to pay for business expenses from that account. And then you want to make sure that you are writing off startup expenses so that you can save on taxes. So if you didn't know this, if you're not essentially taking the expenses, if you're taking them from your personal account and not your business account, then you cannot write those off for taxes, which at this point you might be like, oh my gosh, taxes, that's a thing. Yes, in the past, you may have actually made money from taxes because you were an employee or because you didn't make any money. Now you're going to have to pay the IRS because you're making money. And so welcome to being a business owner where you get to pay people money every year for the fact that you made money and add value to the economy.
And I'll just piggyback on this. If you're starting out, is one of the smartest financial moves, arguably even the strongest financial reason to start a business and to actually incorporate, is that if you make an attempt to start a business, then all costs associated with doing business you can expense. And so to put this in context, that means that you probably have a cell phone. Now, if your cell phone gets used for work and used for personal, but you use it for work, the majority of the time, I'm going to trust you on this, then you could put it through your LLC. So all of a sudden, what you're using after-tax dollars to pay for, using your personal income, you can use as a write-off so that you don't have to pay taxes on that money. So basically, it's like that money gets removed before you have to pay taxes on what's left over. The same applies for maybe your computer. Remember, we're talking about the hardware at the IT level? In the finance function here, we can write off all that hardware we had to do. The internet provider that we had, maybe you had to upgrade it because you could only do certain levels of work at a higher level. If you use a room in your home, because you work from home, you can, as long as you clearly delineate that that's the office that you work exclusively from, which I'll trust you that you'll do that. If you do that, then you can write off a portion of your rent. So all of these things, like you can immediately increase your wealth by taking some overlap of expenses that you're currently paying 100% for personally and probably have excess capacity, as in like you're not using 100% of yourself on 100% of your internet, 100% of your computer personally. Well, we could use all the remainder that's left over and actually write all of that off against your income. So you actually can become wealthier simply by starting a business, even if you haven't made your first dollar yet. You'll just save on Mr. Government trying to take more money out of your pocket.
And you want to make sure that you do this now before you get bigger, because if you are paying for personal things that are not write-offs, but just personal expenses from an account that is actually a business account, all that stuff's gonna be much harder to undo later. So it sounds like a pain in the butt to drive to the bank and set up an account and do all that stuff now, but I promise you it's better to do it now before you even are making a ton of money than it is to do it later.
And I'll show you, like, you only need 2 cards. You need your, don't worry, my numbers aren't showing. You need 2 cards. You need a business card, you need a personal card. And it's the only cards I have with me besides my ID. So it's like, right before you take it out every time, it's like, is this for me or is this from the business? And you just use your 1 or 2 cards. Very easy way to set that up.
So fundamentally, everything that you use to work, you can use to offset your regular income, right? And you expense against it. So something a lot of you might not know is that a lot of banks actually want your business, and they will incentivize you to actually do business with them and use your cash, right? And so if you look at Chase Total Checking, they will give you a $300 bonus to open up an account with a direct deposit in the first 90 days. If you look at PNC Virtual Wallet, they offer up to a $400 bonus. US Bank Smartly Checking provides up to a $400 bonus. So banks want you to bank with them. End of story. You are their customer. And so they have programs that incentivize you to bring your money to their bank. So also just to show you, it's an incentive for them, it's an incentive for you. And so if you're like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna get from this? Well, you could get $300, you get $400, you can take that money and put it towards getting customers that pay you nothing.
And you can get a credit card from those places. Usually that starts at $500. That'll get you going so you can build some credit there. This is assuming you're starting at true zero. If you already have a card, you already have, you have an income, you probably have a credit limit that's higher than that. But we wanted to make sure that we were covering like, okay, I'm truly starting at 0. And I was talking to someone the other day and they were telling me that there was a stat that they found around starting new businesses. But today the average small business only takes $3,500 to start, all in. And so it's significantly less. Now, mind you, that's like a human being who has nothing. But if you that basically just means like internet, laptop, phone, maybe 1 or 2 basic softwares that cost a few $100s a month. That's it. Like that's what it costs on average now to start a business. Like now, some of you are like, well, I don't have $3,500. We'll do the steps that we just outlined. Well, we can save you some of that in taxes. Cool. We can get some bonuses. You can get a card. You can start building credit just by spending the things you already are buying, getting 1 or 2% off there. Obviously, if you're like, well, I can't manage myself. Well, it's like, well, then you got deeper problems to deal with. Like we're not even talking about getting customers yet. Like you can't even control what you spend. All right. But like if you can just do the basics there, you can set yourself up pretty quickly.
Great. So we went from personal money is the business's money to you get a business bank account, you put money in it, and you start to write off expenses.
And so the bottom line, if you forgot everything that we just talked about at level 0, the big problem is that nothing is happening. You don't even have a business yet.
So to graduate, you get people to try your stuff for free.
Ta-da. And so with that, we have now graduated from Improvise to Monetize, which is stage 1, because we started at 0 because we don't even have a business yet. At Monetize, we'll cross the threshold into officially being a business. And real quick, guys, if you just finished this and you are truly at level 0, you're thinking about what business to start, I'm co-owner of a company called Skool, SKOOL.com, and we help thousands, well now it's tens of thousands of people start their first business online. So it's one of the easiest ways to get into business. There's no inventory, you don't have to hire their people. You basically have almost no capital risk to get started. You don't have to rent, you don't have to sign a 5-year lease. You don't have to buy a lawnmower. Like it's one of the cheapest businesses to get started. And right now, 1 out of 2 people, a little bit over, it's 54.1% of people start a paid community on Skool, which is a platform that helps people build groups online. So all you do is you build a group online about whatever it is that you love. You invite your friends or invite your enemies, doesn't matter. And they basically pay you to have access to it, just like a nightclub. You stand at the door, they punch the ticket, you have a good party on the inside. Everyone talks about what they love. And you are the guy who owns the party, so you're the one who gets paid and gets the credit, even though you might not be the life of the party. And it's one of the easiest, most scalable models that I know for people to start with. And so you can start absolutely free, so it's a free trial. And inside of it, we have super tactical trainings on exactly what you need to do for that very, very specific business. If you're like, what business do I start? It's a great way to get started. So you can click the button below that says Skool below this video for free. And otherwise, we'll see you in the next vid.